Hi. So some of the clubs that I belong to have started their summer work days, once a month. And so we're putting up feeders, trimming the roads, and fixing up the stands. So that got me thinking, well, what's one of my favorite rifles to hunt when I don't have very far to walk and I'm sitting in a nice cushy box stand? So that would be the Bergara HMR Pro, the Premier Series. And I kind of wanted to go over how I have this set up and give some of the things I really like about this rifle and some of the things that could be improved upon, and talk about a rifle real briefly that Bergara has out this year that actually fixes one of the main problems with this rifle, which I'll go ahead and say it is the weight. So this is in 300 Win Mag, and it is a 26-inch barrel. It is 9.3, 9.2 pounds. So that's not light at all. That's before you put on the rail and your rings and the scope. And ammunition for that matter. So it's a relatively heavy rifle, but with a 26-inch barrel, I get really good velocity out of this rifle from the 180 grain Hornady Superformance SSTs that I shoot out of this rifle. I have really good success with them, by the way. So let's cover this rifle, how I have it set up, and we'll start at the back. So this rifle has adjustable length of pull, and how I have this set up right now, I have 3 spacers in it, as well as the butt pad. And the recoil pad on this rifle is relatively soft. It's not a limb saver softness pad or anything like that, but it's a decent pad. It's pretty comfortable. It's nice and rounded. There's no hot spots in this or anything like that that poke you. So this is a pretty good recoil pad. Like I said, I have 3 spacers. This rifle is set up with QD flush cups for your sling, both in the front and on the stock, in the front of the stock and on the rear, as well as it has this adjustable cheek piece, right? So you can get a good cheek weld repeatably. I have it all the way down right now, which is actually how I keep it pretty low all the time. And one of the reasons is because I put on the lowest rings that I could get, and we'll talk about that when we get up there. I'll go ahead and show you that it's clear. This bolt, it's got a fluted bolt. It's a 2-lug design with a free-floating bolt face. I haven't had any problems with this rifle with ejection, and I've probably shot 600 or 700 rounds out of this rifle at this point, because I also used to just carry it out in target practice with it from the bench. So I've shot this rifle a lot, and I've killed upwards of 60 deer with this rifle over the last couple of years. So this rifle is incredibly accurate, and it's killed a lot of deer with this setup. It has a fluted bolt. It has a nice shroud on the back. It's actually metal that can come off, and you can easily get to your firing pin to clean that area out. So it comes apart real easy. There's a bolt on the back right here to take the bolt out. It's pretty simple. You just push it in and pull it right out, right? Takes AICS magazine, pattern magazine. So basically just the P-Mag Magnum size magazines. These hold 5 rounds and 1 in the chamber. It comes with 1, and I recommend that you get multiples, because have these springs go out to where all of a sudden it doesn't push the rounds up. So I've got a handful of these laying around the house, right? And normally what I do is I load 2 of these magazines and stick them in my backpack for the weekend, and that's more than enough ammunition to carry around. That's 10 rounds of 300 Win Mag. I don't need any more than that for a weekend of hunting out of the stand. So the magazines, there's nothing in here, so they rattle a little bit. So that's one of the reasons I don't just walk around with this rifle, other than the weight, is these magazines actually rattle. So it's easy to take them out. There's on either side there's a paddle. Just push the paddle forward and they come right out. It has a nice pistol grip. here. This is really comfortable. And a thumb shelf. It actually has a thumb shelf, basically, where you can put your thumb up to get a really good purchase on the rifle and keep from, vibrating the gun with your, squeezing the grip too hard. It's not super flat on the front of this. It's rounded. It's comfortable, but it's not really, it doesn't really fill your hand out like a true precision rifle might. But it's comfortable. Thumb shelf is good. I have absolutely zero problems with accuracy in this rifle. The other thing that I actually, the Premier Action has a Trigger Tech frictionless trigger, and I'll show you that, because let's see, it's got a 2-position safety, so there's no part in the safety that actually locks the bolt down. That's something that would be nice, but I don't carry this through the bushes, so that's not necessary on this rifle. So it's got just a regular 2-position safety. So forward to fire, and then I'll show you, do it like this. There's no take-up. This is single stage, and it's on the wall. So there's absolutely no take-up. The Trigger Tech trigger has, on the bottom here, it has an adjustment. Can't see it, but yeah, right here in front of the trigger, it has an adjustment Allen wrench space where you can just kind of turn the poundage up or down. I have it down as low as it'll go, so that's 2-point-something pounds. It's really light, and you saw that there was no take up, clean break. This is just an awesome trigger in this rifle. It is the Premier series. Also, this one is it has a stainless steel barrel, but it's Cerakoted, gray Cerakote. And then I put on a relatively large, probably oversized muzzle brake. That all equals 0 recoil in this rifle, literally. This rifle is the most stable 300 Win Mag that I have ever shot. You pull the trigger, and at 400 yards, you can see the round hit the deer, and the deer hit the dirt. This is an incredibly easy shooting 300 Win Mag. So if you want to shoot a 300 Win Mag but you don't like the recoil, and you're sitting in a stand and not hiking all over the place, this is the gun to get, and that's the truth. So as far as the scope is set up, so the differences. So my brother actually has this same gun, but not the Premier series. So the Premier series just has kind of a blued barrel, stainless steel blued barrel. It doesn't have the Trigger Tech trigger, but still has a pretty decent trigger for a non, just a regular stock trigger. It still has a good trigger, and takes the same pattern magazines. Everything else is pretty much the same. The bolt is a little different. It's not the fluted bolt, and I think there's a little bit of a difference in how easy that bolt comes apart from the Premier series bolt, but there's not a whole lot of differences, and his rifle is incredibly accurate too. He doesn't even have a brake on it. He's just got thread protector on the front, and it still doesn't recoil hardly at all. And both of these guns will shoot at 100 yards, a 5-shot group that you can cover with your thumb. They're just ridiculously accurate. So I think Bergara gives a sub-MOA guarantee or something like that, but the two that we have, at least, sample size of 2, shoot 5 rounds into your thumb at 100 yards. They're crazy. They do like different ammo. This one likes the 180 grain Super Performance, and for some reason his shoots better with the Winchester 180 grain Winchester silver tip or ballistic tip or something like that. The Winchester rounds that come in the black box. So his shoots better with those rounds. So we use different ammunition out of the rifles, but get the same results. On the top, I have this with a Vortex Viper PST Gen 2, and it's a 3x15 by 44. I normally keep it on 6 because 6 is good anywhere personally for me. 6 is good from anywhere from 50 yards out to about 300. I don't really have to crank it up anymore to shoot out to that distance. I've turned up a little bit if I'm shooting further than that. It has, it's non-capped elevation and windage. It is illuminated, and this one has an overly busy tactical reticle in it, but it makes it really, and it's illuminated, it makes it really easy to see the lines. So if I'm actually holding for elevation, it makes it really easy to see the lines. And the illumination has 10 spots with an off in between each of them, so that's really helpful as well. The reason I have this down is I had higher rings on here, but I got the Vortex precision match rings, and I got the lowest set I could possibly get on this rifle now, so that there's little to no space between the barrel, or I'm as close to the bore axis as I can be with the scope without it actually potentially hitting it. Oh, that's the other thing. This is a completely free-floated barrel on what they call a mini chassis, so it's bedded really well. Barrel's completely free-floated, so the harmonics, I imagine, are pretty good out of this barrel. But that's the other reason I keep this down, because I now have the lowest rings possible that I can get on this rifle. And I was running these caps on the scope, but I took them off for two reasons. One, this one now, when it's on, touches the barrel, and nothing says run deer like this, flipping up and making noise and scraping across the barrel, right? So I took them off basically to be quiet. The scope came with a sunshade that just screws in. I carry this in my backpack, but there's one stand that I actually do use it on. The sun comes up right up over the shooting lane, and between certain hours I put this on. So that is pretty much this rifle. Like I said, it's incredibly heavy. So this is not your hiking through the woods, miles and miles rifle. I use this rifle when I have very short distances to walk, and when I'm going to be sitting in a stand with a good rest. The bars or whatever on the windows are very good, because the bottom of this is flat right here. This rests out on top of the frame of the stand really, really easy because it's so flat. So we put some insulation, some pipe insulation around on the windows. You can lay this gun right on that insulation and pretty much just with one hand manage this gun with one hand, right? So because it doesn't recoil. If you have any questions about this gun, please leave it in the comments. And like I said, I was going to mention this. This year they came out with the Divide in the Premier Series. It is this rifle pretty much, with the exception of the fact that it is 2 pounds lighter. So I think it has a carbon barrel and a carbon composite stock, which take 2 pounds out of this rifle. So it takes what I think is probably one of the most accurate rifles that they make and makes it now something that's transportable. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up that rifle just to save 2 pounds, because basically I have a specific reason for this rifle now, which is shooting out of a stand, like I said. So if you have any questions about this rifle, please leave them in the comments. I might do a range video when I go out just to check my zero before hunting season with it. But thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.